This video will explain my interactive pop art generator, which is my final project for creative coding. And in this video, I'll just try to explain some of the different aspects of what's going on as far as the concepts as well as the coding. And this entire project was put together in unison with the History of Art and Technology rating class. So the idea was to put together sort of a joint project that would reflect research and rating from that particular class with a practical coding project in this class. And what you're seeing now is the home screen, which consists of a background that was created using nested loops, and the animated exclamation point word balloon was created with 3 functions, and that's created with a move, bounce, and display function. And the whole idea was for any of these graphic elements to be able to be easily reproduced on other pages. Along with the mouse click icon at the bottom, that was also made using a function. And I have, I'm set up so that the coded piece changes screens and pages by clicking, and clicking takes us to the next page, which basically has a picture of Lady Gaga, along with rollover the icons to activate the pop art generator copy. And the idea here is to utilize a current celebrity to show the relationship with pop art to current popular culture. And so the first rollover creates this sort of posterized image, along with a copy that reads, "Pop art has always utilized celebrity images to show the link between celebrity worship and consumerism. The simplified posterized image was also meant to draw attention and elicit an emotional response using colors that were popular in comics and media." And our second rollover creates this sort of multiple images that was very, very common and popular in pop art. And the copy that's generated reads, "The frequently utilized pop art style of multiple images helps reinforce the concept of the celebrity as a mass-produced commodity to be used by the public. The duplication of images also questions the authenticity of reproduced art within the art world." So other than Lady Gaga, I also have another popular culture image that I wanted to work with. And in this case, it's an iPhone. I feel like an iPhone represented kind of the ultimate consumer product that's become very, very much part of popular culture and iconography. And so the first rollover creates another posterized image, and that posterization was done with a function that's in processing called posterize, and both images are set to a threshold of 3, which gives us this sort of pop art look to it. The iPhone is perhaps the ultimate example of popular culture meets consumerism. An iPhone represents an extension of the self as well as a signifier of success. So we're basically tying a current product into this idea of pop art. And the second rollover creates another image, this sort of halftone dot image, which was also very popular in pop art. And the copy reads, "The iPhone is also a connection to social media, which is perhaps the ultimate pop art because each individual is framing themselves as a mini celebrity." And something else that I should mention is that the 3 bouncing balls in the background are actually created as objects. So I did have the opportunity to work with objects in a really, really simple way, and all of the information calling out the objects is on a separate tab, and that's why they are able to bounce and move independently. And then we get to the educational portion of the piece, which reads "Background and Origins of Pop Art and Andy Warhol Bio." So we still have basically the same background and the same bouncing balls created from an object. And the first rollover gives us the origins and background of pop art. And all of this copy was written by me and, of course, researched for the paper in the other class. And the second rollover gives us an Andy Warhol bio. So other than being able to utilize some current imagery, basically a current product and celebrity for pop art effects, I also wanted to have lots of information, which this project allows me to show. And our next screen gives us Keith Haring and Takashi Murakami bios. So basically, I wanted to continue on with this continuation of pop art into the 1980s, which would be Keith Haring, as well as Takashi Murakami, who is a current working pop artist today, living. And something else that's important was just to show how diverse media can be within pop art. Keith Haring worked with murals. He drew on the subway. He did installations, sculpture. Keith Haring really expanded pop art beyond what Warhol did. And then in this case, Takashi Murakami takes pop art into the digital realm. And you can see our two rollovers are all working. There we have the Keith Haring bio, as well as the same thing about Takashi Murakami. And just something else that I should mention is just this idea of how flexible pop art as a medium is, which is why I felt like it was very, very appropriate to use, in this case, the processing and Java to put together a pop art piece, just because the media that's been used has just been so flexible. And then our last screen takes us to a little screen with just some closing comments. Pop art was the most important art movement of the second half of the 20th century. Pop art represented the consumerism and wealth of a post-World War II America. And lastly, because of its commentary on popular culture and flexibility with media, pop art remains an important art style today. And something else that I should mention is that the red falling balls that you see were created using an array. So again, I know that this is a very, very sort of simplified use of an array, but I did get just a little bit of practice with that, and that's why we're able to have the multiple falling balls sort of act independently. So on this last page, I was able to get just a little bit of practical use with an array. So this project does cover functions, objects, and arrays, which were basically the last things that we did in class. And yet another mouse click returns us to the home page. So just a few closing comments. I had an amazing time setting up this project. I learned a lot about coding and just sort of doing, putting a piece together that involved research and reading and writing from another project, and then integrating that information into a different medium. So this was an amazing project for me. I think I'm very, very happy with the results. I had a really, really good time in this class, and I look forward to seeing everyone in other classes. So thanks for watching. Bye.